A saint joked while burning alive. Einstein's brain was stolen and sliced into pieces. A war ended in 38 minutes. History isn't boring. It's been censored. Here are 32 facts so wild they were erased from your textbooks. Rome, 897 AD. A courtroom packed with witnesses. The accused sits slumped on a throne, dressed in full papal robes. There's just one problem. He's been dead for 9 months. Pope Stephen VI literally exhumed his predecessor's rotting corpse, propped it up, and put it on trial. Pope Formosus couldn't defend himself, obviously, so they assigned him a lawyer who had to speak for a decomposing body. The verdict? Guilty. Punishment? 3 fingers hacked off, vestments stripped, body dragged through the streets and dumped in the Tiber River. They didn't just cancel him, they put a corpse on trial. Medieval revenge hits different. Now, let's talk about the fork. Yes, the fork. In 1004, Byzantine princess Maria Argyropoulos brought a golden 2-pronged fork to a banquet in Venice. The church immediately lost its mind. They declared it an instrument of the devil, because apparently God designed your hands to be covered in grease and food. When the princess died shortly after, priests said it was divine punishment for her excessive delicacy. Imagine being cursed by God for using cutlery. But the church's worst decision? That came in 1233. Pope Gregory IX issued an official decree. Cats are evil. He linked them to devil worship and witchcraft. The result? Mass extermination. Millions of cats slaughtered across Europe. And you know what loves a cat-free world? Rats. Plague-carrying, flea-infested rats. Within a century, the Black Death wiped out 75 million people. One papal decree. 75 million corpses. All because one man hated cats. Let's cleanse the palate with ancient Egypt, where they were shockingly ahead of their time. 3,000 years before modern pregnancy tests, Egyptian women would pee on wheat and barley seeds. If the seeds sprouted, you were pregnant. Sounds insane, right? Except, in 1963, scientists actually tested this method. It was 70% accurate. Ancient Egyptians were better at diagnostics than medieval Europe ever was. Fast forward to June 10th, 1845, President Andrew Jackson's funeral. Somber, respectful. Until his African grey parrot, Poll, starts screaming profanities so vile they had to physically remove the bird from the church. Witnesses reported it was swearing in multiple languages. That parrot stole the show at a presidential funeral. Legendary. Meanwhile, Fidel Castro survived 634 assassination attempts. The CIA tried exploding cigars, poisoned diving suits, tuberculosis-laced breathing apparatus, booby-trapped seashells. Castro lived to 90, probably laughing at every failed plot. The man was unkillable. In 1805, Lord Byron showed up to Cambridge University with a tame bear. Why? Because the rules said no dogs allowed. Byron found the loophole. He kept the bear in his dorm, walked it on campus, and allegedly tried to enroll it as a student. Peak chaotic genius. And here's the one that'll haunt you. Alexander the Great might have been buried alive. After his death, his body didn't decompose for 6 days. Highly unusual. Modern scientists believe he had Guillain-Barré syndrome. Total paralysis, but fully conscious. Imagine lying there, feeling everything, hearing them prepare your tomb, sealing the stone. And you can't move. You can't scream. You just wait. Nepal, 1890s. A Bengal tigress is shot in the mouth by a hunter. The wound heals badly. She can't hunt her normal prey anymore. So she adapts. She starts hunting humans. Over the next 8 years, the Champawat tiger kills 436 people. 436. She'd stalk villages at night, drag people from their homes, vanish into the jungle. Entire regions were paralyzed with fear. It took legendary hunter Jim Corbett to finally stop her in 1907. But here's the thing. She wasn't a monster. She was an injured animal backed into a corner by human expansion. Nature didn't strike back. It was forced to. Now, let's talk about Benjamin Franklin. Founding father, inventor, diplomat. And every single morning he sat completely naked in front of an open window for up to an hour. He called them air baths and swore they were the secret to his health. Imagine being his neighbor. You open your curtains at dawn and there's Ben Franklin, butt naked, reading a newspaper, fully committed to wellness. The man helped write the Constitution and pioneered nude morning routines. Franklin wasn't the only one obsessed with hygiene. Ancient Egyptians were brushing their teeth with a paste made from crushed eggshells, ox hooves, and ash. Sounds medieval, right? Except modern scientists tested the formula. It worked. The abrasives effectively cleaned teeth, and the ingredients had antibacterial properties. Ancient Egypt had better dental hygiene than Europe did 3,000 years later. They were out here with functional toothpaste, while medieval Europeans were rotting by age 30. South Africa, 1881. A railway signalman named James Wide loses both legs in an accident. He can't operate the levers anymore, so he trains a baboon, not as a pet, as a co-worker. The baboon, named Jack, learned to operate railway switches perfectly. For 9 years, Jack worked the rails without a single mistake. He was paid 20 cents a day and half a bottle of beer weekly. A baboon. With a government salary, pension benefits, better job security than most humans. But not all animals were so lucky. Salem, 1692. Witch trial hysteria is at its peak. A dog is accused of witchcraft. They don't just kill it, they put it on trial. With testimony, evidence, legal proceedings. For a dog. The court found it guilty and executed it by gunshot. Even animals weren't safe from mass paranoia. If you barked wrong, you were meeting your maker. September 9th, 1947, Harvard University. Engineers are troubleshooting the Mark II computer when they find the problem. A moth trapped inside a relay. Grace Hopper's team carefully removed it and taped it into the logbook with the note. First actual case of bug being found. The term computer bug comes from a literal dead bug. Every time your app crashes, you're using vocabulary invented by a dead insect. Victorian England had a disturbing party trend, mummy unwrapping events. Rich socialites would gather, drink champagne, and unravel ancient Egyptian corpses for entertainment. They'd even invite doctors to dissect them on the spot. Imagine sipping wine while someone peels apart a 3,000-year-old body like a gift at Christmas. The Victorians were unhinged. And here's the one that'll shatter your perception of evolution. Arctic camels. Yes, camels. In the frozen north. Fossils found on Canada's Ellesmere Island reveal camels over 6 feet tall roamed the Arctic 3.5 million years ago. They had wide, snowshoe-like feet designed for walking on ice and snow. Before climate shift forced them south, where they evolved into desert creatures. Nature's first draft was a polar camel. Let that sink in. 1853. Chef George Crumb is furious. A customer keeps sending back his fried potatoes, complaining they're too thick. Out of spite, Crumb slices them paper thin, fries them to a crisp, and drowns them in salt. The customer loves them. He just invented potato chips, out of pure anger. Today, the global chip industry is worth $30 billion, all because one chef had a bad day. Napoleon's army was starving. Spoiled food killed more soldiers than battles. He offered 12,000 francs to anyone who could preserve food long term. Chef Nicolas Appert sealed food in glass jars and heated them. Canning was invented. Napoleon wanted to feed troops. He accidentally launched an industry that still feeds billions. Early 1900s. Thomas Edison controlled film through his motion picture patents company. Make a movie without paying him? He'd sue you or send thugs to smash your cameras. So filmmakers fled to a small California town far from his New Jersey base. Cheap land, endless sunshine. That town was Hollywood. The film capital exists because directors were hiding from Edison's lawyers. World War II, 1944. The Allies needed to deceive Hitler about D-Day. They created the Ghost Army. Artists and engineers deploying inflatable tanks, rubber planes, and sound trucks, blasting fake armored divisions. Actors impersonated generals at bars, leaking false plans. The Nazis diverted entire divisions to the wrong coast. A theatre troupe with props helped win the war's largest invasion. September 1666. A London bakery catches fire. The city burns for 4 days. 13,000 homes destroyed. Only 6 deaths, but thousands financially ruined. Businessman Nicholas Barbon founded the first fire insurance company in 1667. One disaster birthed a trillion-dollar industry. 1830s. Dr. John Cook Bennett sold ketchup pills, claiming they cured diarrhea and jaundice. America went wild. Then doctors realized they did nothing. The fad collapsed, but Heinz later repackaged it as a condiment. Your burger topping started as fake medicine. August 27, 1896. Zanzibar's new sultan seizes power without British approval. Britain issues an ultimatum. Step down by 9 a.m. He refuses. At 9:02, British warships open fire. By 9:40, it's over. 38 minutes. 500 Zanzibaris dead. 1 British sailor injured. Not a war, a demolition with paperwork. January 1954. Hemingway's plane crashes in the Ugandan jungle. The next day, the rescue plane explodes on takeoff. Hemingway uses his skull to smash through the burning door. 2 crashes in 24 hours. He survived both with a concussion, ruptured organs, and burns. Newspapers published his obituary. He read his own death notices. 1800s, China. A prostitute named Zheng Shi marries a pirate captain. When he dies, she takes command. Not of a crew, of an entire fleet. 70,000 pirates, 1,800 ships. She created a naval empire with strict codes. Desertion meant your ears cut off. Rape meant death. She terrorized the Chinese coast so effectively that the government couldn't stop her. So they negotiated. Zheng Shi retired wealthy, opened a gambling house, and died peacefully in her 60s. Blackbeard had 4 ships. She had an armada. 257 AD, Rome. St. Lawrence is being roasted alive on a gridiron for refusing to hand over church treasures. Midway through his execution, he looks at his torturers and says, "Turn me over. I'm done on this side." He joked while burning to death. Today, he's the patron saint of cooks and comedians. Even martyrdom couldn't kill his. Abraham Lincoln. Before he was president, he was a wrestling legend. Over 300 matches. Lost only one. He was 6 feet 4 inches, with a reach that terrified opponents. His signature move? Lifting men by the throat and slamming them down. Locals called him the best rougher and tumbler in Illinois. In 1992, Lincoln was inducted into the National Wrestling Hall of Fame. The great emancipator also chokeslammed people for fun. 1889, journalist Nellie Bly reads Jules Verne's Around the World in 80 Days and declares she'll beat the fictional record. Her editor laughs. She goes anyway. One bag, no chaperone, pure grit. 72 days later, she's back, shattering the imaginary benchmark. Mid-journey, she met Jules Verne in France. He stared at her, astonished, and admitted she had more courage than any character he'd ever written. Fiction couldn't keep up with her. April 1955. Albert Einstein dies. Pathologist Thomas Harvey performs the autopsy and steals Einstein's brain without permission. He slices it into 240 pieces, stores them in jars, and keeps them in his basement for decades. He mailed chunks to researchers, drove cross-country with Einstein's brain in a Tupperware container. The greatest mind in history spent years in a cooler. World War II. Hans Scharf, a Luftwaffe interrogator, never tortured anyone. Instead, he took prisoners on walks, fed them home-cooked meals, joked with them, built trust. They talked freely, thinking he was harmless. He extracted more intelligence than any torturer. After the war, the US military studied his methods and adopted them. The Scharf technique is still taught today. Kindness was his weapon. Here's the unsettling truth. 97% of human history is gone. Homo sapiens have existed for roughly 200,000 years. We only have written records for about 6,000. Everything before that, lost. Entire civilizations, languages, wars, love stories, erased. You're living in the 3% we managed to document. And humanity's oldest complaint? A clay tablet from Mesopotamia, circa 1750 BC. A customer named Nani is furious at copper merchant Ea Nasir for delivering low-quality copper. He carved his grievance into clay. You put ingots which were not good before my messenger, and said, if you want to take them, take them. If you do not, go away. 4,000 years later, we're still dealing with bad customer service. Some things never change. History isn't what they taught you. It's stranger, darker, and more brilliant than any textbook dared to admit. You just witnessed the facts they left out. If this rewired your brain, smash that like button. Subscribe for more truths, and drop a comment. Which fact hit you hardest? Let's see who actually made it to the end.